Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you are doing great. And most importantly, my friends, I hope that you are in good health. Once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, my friends, we talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we discuss here on the Common Sense channel. So once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. Today, I just want to talk about to you, my audience, my viewers, and all those people that support my channel. You know, I live in this country. I love this country. And I love the people of this country. I personally believe that wherever you live is your home. And if you should relocate wherever you find yourself, that's your home. You understand? We are universal citizen. We don't have a specific place we call home. You see, all of these things, these are all artificial demarcation called countries, boundaries. You understand? So, with all of the storms blowing or brewing in this country right now, with a race of people, a group of people, the Somalians, the African American, Black American, white community, Hispanic, everybody is confused. And all you can see is a bunch of emotion. Look, emotion, this is one of the elements of the human condition that I think is the most important aspect of the human being. And I often say, do not allow your emotion to get the best of you. You see, emotion has caused an entire nation to go to war without even thinking proper. I'm not going to say properly. Without thinking proper. Emotion had allowed an entire community to destroy another members of the community, of that same community, without thinking. Emotion has divided people. This is not new. So always, when you are experiencing emotion, always seek for wisdom. Always seek for guidance. Emotion has allowed someone who was doing great in life, had everything going for them, overnight had their entire life turned upside down. Emotion will have the best of you. And let me tell you, there are those out there that understand. There are those out there that understand, and they are just sitting and waiting. And all they're asking themselves, where is all of this going? And they want to see the outcome. If you want to understand wherever you find yourselves in life, if you want to understand, look at history. History often repeats itself maybe every 100 years, or maybe every 50 years, or maybe every 20 years. History has life. All of this thing on social media, I wanted to talk about it, but I'm not moved about things until the ancestor moved me to talk about them. See, all of these things that are happening between Black American, African from Africa, or between, white American, African, or African American or Black American or any communities in this country. This is not new. If you go back into history, you can find the receipts of these things. Don't be misled. Don't allow your generation to be misled by emotion. The question is, who is benefiting from all of this tensions or the storm that's brewing, that's rising up? Who is benefiting from it? There's someone with the narrative. They already set the narrative, and you are just playing into it. Don't be fooled. Don't be misled. Don't be misguided. Be wise. Wise up. If you ask me, the situation between Black American and Africans from Africa, it's not new. As long as I've been in this country, like I was fortunate to have gone through the American educational system. I was fortunate to have sat down in classes with my Black American brothers and sisters. I know any Black person, African person that had the opportunity to school in this country know these things. This, my friend, is a family discussion that's long overdue. We African from Africa must look, every generation takes off from where the ancestor left. Africa did not take off from where the ancestor had left. Our ancestors, even though they were in a different setting in Africa, the ones that were fortunate to have come to this country and schooled in this country and understood the plights of African American. I'm talking about the 20s. No, I'm not going to say the 20s, but I can say that too, because African had started coming to America from the 20s. And so our African Americans started going to Africa way before the 20s. Because if that wasn't the case, this would never have been projected in the movie called Color Purple. If you don't know, most people don't pay attention to things. But watch that movie, Color Purple, you will see. So the African American has been going to Black American, had been going to Africa way before the 19th century. I mean, Booker T. Washington has institution, has school in Africa. So this is not new. But once these people, after the death of Malcolm X, you understand, W. Du Bois, you know, the great Marcus Garvey, the generation after that, they just, I think it was starting to pick up during the 70s and the 80s, and it just fades off. It fades out. So we should always think about history. Don't allow the moment of time to drift you away from that reality. There's a history between us and Black American. I used to say African American. I don't say that anymore because I think I've come to the realization of who our brothers and sisters are. You understand? But yeah, we should not forget. We shouldn't allow emotion, man. If you ask me, I'll tell you, there's an issue between African from Africa and Black American who has their origin from Africa. The reason why I'm saying it is not all Black American think they're Africans. That's the truth. And because of this, right, it had me thinking about Pan-Africanism, but I know there's a reason to everything. So it's always good to have dialogues. When people say things, when people come to you and they express their emotion, their concern, it's always good to listen. It's called dialoguing. I have the receipt. I've done the work. Because why? When I was in high school, I saw the division. I saw the rift. I saw, even when I went to college, I saw these things. I've always been the person to study things. So when I see things, I study them. I study them to know the genesis. And I think if more and more Africans are doing this, then you will notice that the gap between us and Black American is going to be minuscule. It's going to be lesser. But again, everybody come in a different setting, so people see the world the way they want to see it. I'm of that opinion that the way people see the world is why they do what they do. You understand? So don't allow, and this is specifically for African from Africa and African American or Black American in this country. Don't allow all of these storms, emotion, right, to drift you from the main goal. Look, your blackness, it has nothing to do with race. It's just reality. Will always be there. Who you are will always be who you are. You can't change it. It's just like your skin. Ask the people who try to change their skin what happened to them. It's like your skin. No matter what you do, you go to bed at night. All you see is that. When you get up in the morning, that's what you see. When you look in the mirror, that's what you're always going to see till you leave this world. So don't allow anyone come between you and your skin. You understand? Your skin is who you are. It's your identity. If you start to say you are not part of your skin, when someone sees you out there and they tell you that this is who you are, what would you get upset at that person? You see? Because even if you don't see your skin, someone is seeing it and they're going to remind you of it. You understand? So don't allow none of these storms, because the question is who is benefiting from it. And let me tell you, when an entire race of people, when an entire nation, a community or society is going through a crisis, there's always someone benefiting from it, because the person that's benefiting from it is the person that created the problem in the first place. All of you are just reacting to something that someone had already created. You understand? Like sometime on my channel, I'll talk about neocolonialism. I sometimes blame colonialism and neocolonialism for Africa's problem. But if you listen to me all the time, I'll tell you on my channel that, look, you don't keep blaming people for something that you can fix. Because all human beings have one thing in common. We have choice. We have the power to make choices, that some of the choices we make in life, the Creator has no control over them. We make these choices. So we can make choices to mitigate a problem, to solve a problem. How do we do that? By dialoguing with each other. On the Common Sense channel, that's what you see. That's what you hear me talking about. And the reason is I have control over the narrative. It's a power that only I have to control the narrative. So that way in the future, I don't blame no one. I never in my life since I've been in this country, I never blame anyone for my problem. Look, I just feel like if things are going right for me, I have a lot of saying in it. If things are going wrong for me, I have a lot of saying in it. So I don't attribute any of these successes to anyone but myself. I don't attribute any of my failures to anyone but myself. And that's how we should see the world. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this to say to you, Black, today we're hearing Somalians everywhere. We're hearing Africans everywhere. We're hearing Black American everywhere. There's a time we heard about a Haitian from Haiti everywhere. There's a time we heard about the Italians from everywhere. People talk of them. There's a time in this country we heard about the Irish from everywhere. There's a time we heard about the Jewish American by everyone. There's always these conflicts. But guess what? You see, all these people that I mentioned, even the Chinese, there was a time in this country that even they call it the Chinese Exclusion Act. You can check that one too, Google. You will see there was a time the Chinese came to this country. You know, they brought them here to build a railroad. And when the system noticed that just too many of them in the community with many children, right, that became a problem too. Same for Jewish American, same for Irish American. But those people that don't learn from the history will always repeat them. You understand? That's true too. That's true. It's not a cliche. It's true. So, this is the time. But here's one thing I want to say. You see, all these people that I mentioned, there was a time they too had issues in the community. But what brought them together was the commonality, right? And they sat down and said, let's figure out something. I think that there's a movie called The Gangs of New York. I think that's what it's called, The Gangs of New York. You know what that movie was about? It was feuding between the Irish American, I think Irish and American and Jewish, something like that. It was feud between them, and they were fighting and killing each other. So the question is, what happened? What happened after the feuding? So I think if you ask the common sense channel, I'll tell you that whatever is happening brewing or between so far, the storm that is swinging like a pendulum back and forth between the African from Africa and a Black American in this country, if you ask me, I'll tell you it's long overdue. I personally have receipts on this. I've been on the ground. And I've been on the ground trying to bring these two communities together, only to have dialogues. Because no matter how serious your problem is with your brother or your sisters, the only way you can do this is talk about them. You know, the Somalians are just peculiar people. They're different. Whether they want to be African or not, we know they're in Africa. Will you throw away your child that just want to be who they are? Will you say, out of here? Some people might. But no matter what, that's your children. You can't throw them away. You know? Me, I don't buy all of that stuff. I think it's out of ignorance that people feel the way they are. And I think they have the right to think that all of us have the right to think or behave the way we want to behave. But at the end of the day, like I said, you cannot extrapolate yourself from your skin. That's reality. Even if your head says the contrary, the opposite, right? Those who see you do not see that. And that's the reality. But yeah, I think all of these storms that are out there, raging, raging with everyone yapping, talking. Some of these people, they're just instigators. They are, how they call it, agitators. They are helping to flame the fire. But you have to see that, my friends, my fellow blacks, brothers and sisters. You have to see that. Don't be carried away from these. This thing, it's not new. Everything under the sun is not new. With all these things, we didn't need Donald Trump to tell us that we have problems. Some of us in our communities, we know. But what did we do? Did we reach out to them and say, hey, bro, what's going on? Because until you talk to someone, you wouldn't know what they're going through. You wouldn't know their history. You wouldn't know how they think. I know some of you have reached out to them. I have. I've reached out to them too. And I saw the response. But these are all deep in historical background of these people. Same as this country too. And to understand these things is to look back into history. That's why when you see me, I come on my channel, I talk about history all the time. Because all of these things that are happening now in our world today, look, if you check them, if you try to trace them, you'll find out that they are not new. They started some 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. That's how you see it. The beginning of any people, any society, any culture, any nation has a beginning. And the beginning of a race of people or ethnicity or culture can be traced back to when they started by the ancestors. So once you learn that, then you know how to deal with that situation. Same as African American, Black American, when most African American can trace their beginning, especially in the north of this country, to the south. There was a time in this country, you can check this too, when most of the blacks, you know why they were moving from the south, because they had Jim Crow in the south. You know, the south is a better place now. If you ask me, I'll tell you. But there's a movie on that too, a historical too, Rosewood. If you want to watch something on the origin of blacks from the south into the north, watch Rosewood. And there are countless of historical events that happens in the south that cause that huge mass migration from the south to the north. We're talking about tens of thousands, if not millions of blacks that came from the south into the north. Guess what? When these people came up to the north, it was another challenge for them too. They were called all sort of names. It was so bad that it even sparked a riot in places like Chicago. Facts. But in the storm of all of these, there's always gonna be few good people. So when you look at white people, not all white people are like that. It's in the case of blacks leaving the south to the north. Someone stood up and said no. In the case of the Jewish American too. In the case of the Italians Americans. You know, when people can say, deport all of them. Man, you have to remember, this is America. America always stands on principle. That's why I keep telling some of you. America is not a democracy, because if you look at democracy, if you want to follow the principles, then you can say, let's do mobocracy. Mobocracy. So we're going by what everyone's saying, because everyone is angry, everyone is emotional. And again, as I said in the beginning of this video, I said, if you allow your emotion to have the best of you, you will make mistakes. And you will make terrible mistakes that will have a detrimental effects on you and the community, the society, and your culture, and all of those things that you hold dear. You know, this is a time in the American history again. I said America is like a pendulum. It's like a project constantly fixing itself. It will have storm, it will have winter, it will have all of these weathers, you know, just going back and forth. But throughout all of these storms, including the ones we're experiencing now, America has always been able to emerge better country. You understand? This is from the Common Sense channel. So, when you are out there doing all of these things, all I can see, I don't know about other people now. Maybe me and the people that are setting this thing up to see how it play. All I can see is emotion. Yeshua HaMashiach, the Grand Master Teacher, told us that when your fellow human being, don't matter their race, their gender, their ethnicity, wherever they're from, if they hurt you, it's always best to approach them and talk to them. That's human decency. You understand? That's what he was preaching, human decency. Nothing religious about that. Because everywhere you go in the world, you will find culture. If someone migrates from another place into another place, they have their own culture, just like the black from the south when they came to the north. They had their own culture that they brought. And if you don't know, all black people in this country, especially black Americans, are not the same. They don't all think the same. It's true. They don't all behave the same too. Like blacks in the South behave different than black in the North. Black in the South would be more towards my favorite right, the Second Amendment, versus black in the North. They're cool. Their behaviors are different than black in the South. Black in the East are behavior different than black in the West. But what they have in common is their history and their culture. Maybe their culture may be different, but their history is the most common element between all of them. Whether they're from the East, the West, the North, the South, their history is what brings them together. And I hope that it can bring them more together, because if that happens, you see a huge cultural dichotomy playing, and it's going to be great. So yeah, I'm saying this, like I don't want to see us fighting each other, because in my view, like, we do have these differences. We do have these issues, these disagreement and these problems. They're historical too. But one thing I want you to know, that they're not historical because for by design, for a reason. You understand? And don't allow the same people that divided you in the first place to continue to do that. Don't allow that. It's from the Common Sense channel. Don't allow that to continue. At some point, we have to sit down and say, we have to break this. It's like a generational issue, or I won't say curse, generational issue that we have to work on. We have to dialogue. We need to talk to each other. But we can't do that right now because the storm is still blowing, it's still intensifying. With all of these outside people coming in and mellowing in your affairs, and talking and saying trash, Look, at the end of the day, you are still going to be black. You can't change that. And if you don't know that, sad to say, that you're black, someone is going to tell you. And when someone tells you, you can't do a damn thing about it. And that's the reality. So it's always good when you are going through a storm. Again, it's always good when you are going through a storm to think. Don't use your emotion. Think before you react. That way, you would know where the storm is heading. And if you know where the storm is heading, you wouldn't go there. You would go to a safer place and wait until all of that storm is over. Then you try to pick up yourself from wherever you are and make the kind of positive change or changes that you want to see. Because at the end of the day, whatever we're doing on this planet, we're just paving the way for the next generation to come. Now, if you start to dialogue with one another, I think from Africa, wherever you are from the planet, because Africans from Africa comes in all colors. So wherever you are from Africa, right, and Black American in this country, I think we need to talk. I think we need to talk about some of the things that are ripping us apart, or some of the rifts between us. I think, but you cannot do it when you are angry. You cannot do it when you're upset. You cannot do it when all of these emotions are going on, especially the ones coming from the outside. You know, don't listen to all these voices. These voices don't mean anything to you. The same thing happened for the Italian American. The same thing happened for the Irish American. The same thing happened for the Chinese Americans. The same thing happened for all of these people that are the makeup of the melting pot, as they like to say, that cliche. You understand? So yeah, don't allow none of these people, to come in and try to jam you up against your brothers and your sisters. You know, one day, all of these. I'm not here to say what they're alleging. the Somalians are doing, I'm not here to support none of that. Because me personally, my whole life, and I've said it on my channel, I don't believe in free stuff. So because of that, everything I earn, everything that I have, I work for them. And therefore, I wouldn't want anything anyone or anything to take away things that should be going to the right people. You know, if someone is engaged in theft or grift, whatever that is, and if they're caught, I think they should bear the consequence. I do. But for now, let's stay out of this stuff and let these people fight their fight. Whoever is going after them, let them go after them. As that's why you have the law, you have law enforcement. Don't allow them to drag you into this stuff. If you had bad experience with the Somalian community, the best thing to do is talk about it. I think let's talk about it. Or even Africans. Me, I didn't know much about the Somalians now. But to be honest with you, I know that we Africans have always had issues with African American. And that's true. But I think no matter how bad that situation is, which most of them are historical, you understand? No matter how terrible they are, look, they can be talked about and they can be solved. You understand? So that's it from the Common Sense channel. I don't really go into things until I move, but I've been watching. And I said to myself, what's going on? What's going on here? Where is this heading? You know, at the end of the day, we are all, there's some people will say, we're not the same. Hey, this is America. You're welcome to your opinion. But what good would it do for you? You know, it's not going to do no good for you. You know, what message would this send to your children? You understand? So always think before you react. Emotion would not allow you. As I said initially, emotion, take it from the Common Sense channel, has allowed a race of people to annihilate an entire race of people. Emotion has allowed people, human beings, to go to war without thinking. Emotion had allowed people, human beings, to kill another human beings, to unlive another human beings without thinking. Emotion had allowed somebody to destroy their own family just like that. You understand? So when you are going through a crisis, always think. The reason is there are always people, I say the puppet masters, pulling the strings from the back, and you don't even see them, and they are preying on your emotion. Look, if you watch this, there's going to be politicians coming out. They're going to run on this stuff. I've seen this over and over. Politicians will run on anything as long as that thing will get them into power. Don't allow that. Religious folks will run on these things too to get more members. These two people, these two entities, always watch out for them whenever a situation is happening like these, like what this country is faced with. America is always going through these things. But through all of them, America has always maintained that role that is always played. Every one of us in this country have gone through these experiences. Historical receipts are there. You just need to do your research. You'll see. And then once you understand these things, you're going to be like, oh, I can't believe it's happening again. But it will happen because it's history. History always repeats itself. It just depends on the people that are at the other end of that, to sit down and say, no, this right here has happened before. But how do we address that situation? That must always be the thing that guides us from destroying ourselves. As I've always said on my video, and will say again, the greatest thing, my friends, that could ever happen to you is not the day you were born, not the day you had your first child, the day you graduated from high school, college, whatever it is that you're working on in your life. The greatest thing, my friends, that could ever happen to you is the day you discover yourself. Because from that day on, everything, my friends, would start to make sense to you, including understanding those elements, those entities, those people that are trying to destroy you. They're trying to pin you against your fellow brothers and sisters. It's not new. But guess what? You would understand some of these inner making, and you will wise up. Wise up, people. In terms of crises like these, rise up. Don't allow this to change you. Always look at your skin. It's always going to be part of you. Can't do anything about it. I want to thank all those people that watch my videos. I want to thank all those people that continue to support me. I honor you. I respect you. Thank you. And I hope, once again, that you are safe, you are safe, and that most importantly, you are in good health. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and blessed. Thank you.